well, let's get started. Welcome to the Introducing Developer Hub webinar here at Contentstack. And today we're going to be talking about how you can really extend our platform capabilities with your own apps and kind of some of the ways that we've streamlined that developer workflow for you. So for starters, by introduction, just our hosts today, my name is Adam Smith. If you've been on one of our group demos, you've probably seen me. I'm on the solutions team here. I'm also joined by Brandon Eccles and Matt McDonald.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, my name's Brandon Eccles, and I'm the product marketing manager for Developer Hub. And really excited to be here today with you and share some of the exciting updates and we've got for you. And I'm joined by my counterpart on the product team, Matt.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon. I'm Matt McDonald. I'm the product manager for the Marketplace and Developer Hub, and excited to show you our offering today.
So today we're going to be covering really 5 points. We're going to talk about what is Developer Hub, kind of an introduction to it, how it can speed up your workflow, show some of the boilerplates and examples so that you can get started straight away. And then, of course, Matt is going to go into a live demonstration and kind of walk us through an example, and then, of course, open it up for Q&A. So let's get started. So really, what is Developer Hub designed to be, and how can that help, right? So Developer Hub is our way of allowing you to create your own custom applications on top of our platform. And the nice thing with Developer Hub, right, is it really helps out with the speed of what that development looks like, makes it so that our customers can really create and connect with other systems and make it a true composable environment, and of course, extend our platform capabilities. And the nice thing with having Developer Hub, right, is it's really all about, building your own extensible solutions, your own apps, connecting those, wherever you want within your stack and the rest of your composable ecosystem. And then, of course, sharing it, right? So if you want to create your own private applications for your organization or even share them on our marketplace, those are a couple of options there. So a few things around really how we help out with speeding up development, right? We have a whole suite of tools and functionality that's really designed for creating and deploying apps. And one of the things we're going to talk about today really is having things like our app boilerplates to help you get started, having pre-built SDKs, and we also have a component library, so you don't have to worry about making sure that it matches the look and feel of the rest of the product. It'll look nice and integrated for your users. Also, for folks that are not familiar with Launch, we do have Launch hosting as well. And what that is our front-end hosting. So really, we can use that with Developer Hub as well to really eliminate any need for external hosting services, which can significantly streamline, building and deploying out your application. And then, of course, really making sure that this app is secure. Your apps are secure. The authentication experience is very straightforward for your users, and of course makes it so that you've got security on that end as well. So let's talk about kind of a few things here, right? So for starters, we have our app SDK, which allows you to really go in, build very deeply integrated, feels very native for your end users, right? For folks that are working with our application, and really make it so you can compose it out in different areas of the product that makes sense, right? And then a couple of other things really more geared for the deployment and the releases of it, right? Is we have, of course, the ability to go in, take a look at your version control and change logs, see exactly where your app has changed throughout time, much like the versioning we have and our logging for things like Automation Hub and for our audit logs for content, right? And then, of course, we have all of our award-winning developer docs and app development best practices too, to help give you a guiding hand as well. So let's talk about some of the ways that you can use this to extend really the platform capabilities. So for starters, you can go in and you can, of course, customize the platform however you'd like by integrating it in a lot of different UI locations. And we'll make sure we get to that later on. You can also do things like webhooks, right? So if you want to go in and have interaction and really have eventing throughout your application, have it connect to other systems, you can use that. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't say you can also plug it into Automation Hub using that. And then we also have the ability, as I mentioned earlier, right? You can build things privately. So you can have your own applications for your organization or for individual stacks, or you can submit it out to our Contentstack marketplace and have it be part of that for our global customer base as well. So let's talk some core features. So this is what we've been talking about a little bit, right? In terms of really these app boilerplates. We are launching with these, so you can go in and really do either a generic boilerplate or if you're building something like an e-commerce connection or asset management, we have boilerplates that are there as well. And these are all designed with our best practices in mind and with documentation behind them. So they're very straightforward to, to deploy, to customize. And then it's really a template that you can use to start, building, launching, deploying these apps quickly. And the interesting thing too, and I want to point this out, is that these boilerplates are actually kind of how a lot of our marketplace applications were developed as well. So you're really starting off with those best practices in mind for applications that are, deployed throughout the world. So a few ways that you can really start to integrate your apps in terms of our platform UI entry locations, right? So you can embed them as what we call custom fields on content models. You can do things like dashboards for analytics tools. You can do, sidebar widgets, things like that. So really, folks that have used Contentstack before, you're probably familiar with all of the different UI points that we allow. And that's if that's something that we'd like us to talk about as well later, we can do that too. The other thing, and I've kind of pointed this out a couple times, is that we really want this whole experience to be smooth and intuitive for users, right? So these integrations, these, everything from the design language to the responsiveness of the applications, we want that to feel native. And that's exactly what you get when you use Developer Hub. And then let's talk about launch hosting. Some of you might be familiar with launch. We have quite a few customers using it already. The cool thing with launch is it is totally integrated with Contentstack, and we can host your applications here. And we're talking about a deployment process that's measured in seconds and minutes, not hours, right? And you can also do things like build, test, deploy your entire application within the Contentstack platform, which makes it obviously quite a bit easier in terms of making that development lifecycle more streamlined. And of course, having to sidestep setting up and some hosting, some third-party hosting for an app if you're just testing things out or want to launch it out. And as Matt's going to show, we also have integrated GitHub connections, right? So you can do things. You can connect to a repo, you can deploy automatically, really make sure that that workflow is super efficient throughout the process. And then let's just talk about webhooks real quick, because one of the things that we've done here is we've made it so that you have webhooks so you can start to do eventing, right? For whether it's things like dynamic content updating, if you want to take data right to external services with structured payloads. And of course, we do things like making sure that you've got webhook rate limits built in so that we can make sure that you've got the performance that you need. So a little bit around authentication. I pointed this out earlier. We do have OAuth, right? So you have the security both on an environment level, and you can also do very fine-tuned access control when it comes to creating, authentication for the data and for apps. And then, of course, I pointed out, we do have version logs, right? I just wanted to show this a little bit more. So in terms of really taking a look within Developer Hub and making sure that you've got, kind of that running history, right, of all of the different versions, you can take a look at all of the changes. You can do things like version restoration. And we also have very detailed change logs. So you can see exactly what really those system level changes were made with each save action. And one more thing we've got to talk about, right, is our SDK. And we've pointed this out a little bit, right? But in terms of this, really having the ability to have those pre-built functionality to make it significantly more streamlined. The one thing that folks really hook onto, though, is really having this native experience when it comes to whether it's a private application or it's something that you're going to submit to our marketplace. We do have this ability to have all of these different integration points within our UI, as well as a design system that you can use to really make it feel native and seamless with the rest of the application for your users. Okay, so that's all I had.
Thank you, Adam. Yeah, so today I'm going to walk you through a quick demonstration of Developer Hub and how to easily use our app boilerplate to set up your app environment and get started developing. So a great place to start is this getting started with your first app documentation guide. This will take you through using the app boilerplate, our app SDK, our Venus components, and walk you through building a color picker app. For today's demo, though, I'm going to show you the application environment setup and using our marketplace app boilerplate to quickly stand up your application environment in Developer Hub. So I have already downloaded this repo, and I will go ahead and cancel it right now. Within this Marketplace app boilerplate, I have not changed any of the source code, but you can see within here we have all of our UI locations and extensibility points pre-configured for you. So you can just download this repo, host it, and get ready to start developing. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new application. And once that's created, it'll land me on the basic information page where you get some basic information about your application, its status, its type, and its current version. The first thing we want to do is set up a new UI location. These UI locations are the platform extensibility points that Adam mentioned that allow you to customize and build upon the platform. So for example, we have some like the Stack dashboard, which enables our Google Analytics and content type visualizer applications, or our field modifier, which enables our AI assistant application. But my personal favorite is the full page application, which we use for our calendar and our workflow board applications. And I like this just because it gives the user a full page of real estate to build anything you want. I've seen customers use this to build project trackers, analytics pages, or even documentation reference pages. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a full page application for this demo. Let's go ahead and name this location analytics. And let's put the path as full page. I'm going to save that UI location. And now our app is ready to install in our environment. So I'm going to go ahead and start my application locally. And now that that's running, I am going to install my application to preview that full page UI location that I just set up. So now that that application is installed, I'm going to go to that stack and open up this analytics full page application that we just built. So this is what you'll be greeted with the first time you use our application boilerplate. And all of the locations kind of come with a pre-configured message like this. And now I'm going to jump over to show you how we can get it out from locally hosted over to our new launch project. So within our application, I'm going to jump over to the hosting page, go over to hosting with launch, and go ahead and create a new launch project. Now, as a developer, you have the option of connecting your GitHub repo directly or uploading a zip file of your application source code. I already have my GitHub account created, so I'm going to go ahead and select the repo that I had forked of the Marketplace app boilerplate that I had shown you previously. Going to go to the next page, and this is where you can set up your build and output settings and your environment variables if you want to get a little bit more granular into your hosting settings. And then I'm going to go ahead and click create on that project. And in the background, that launch project is being stood up as we speak. So I'm going to save our settings here, and then I'm going to jump over and show you in launch our launch project that's being created. So launch in the background stood up this environment variable for us based on our launch project name. And this will take a few minutes to deploy. So while this is going, I'm going to jump over and show you our version logs new feature. So with version logs, as Adam mentioned, this gives you flexibility to look back on your application and see what has changed over time. And you also be able for you to restore your application to a previous point in time. So if we look back at version 2 here, the UI is going to take you back into that application version, and you'll be greeted with this message showing you that you are looking at a previous application version. You have the option to restore this version, and it'll basically take this version 2 and create a new version 4 and replicate version 2 out of as that application. I'm going to hold off on restoring for now. And what's also great is you can navigate through your application and see how your application looked during version 2. So I can jump between here and see that I didn't have webhooks set up in version 2. In hosting, I was still on custom hosting in version 2. So it gives you a perspective of what version 2 looked like when you were previously managing your application. Now I'm going to hop back to our hosting page and give this a refresh. Looks like our application is still deploying. While that's happening, I'm going to turn off my local hosting, refresh this. And there we go. We have it. Our project is live right now. And for order to see the changes, I need to update my application. So I'm going to hop over to the marketplace and update this application in my stack. Go through a quick update process. There we go. And then when I navigate back to my stack and look at my analytics full page UI location, it is still hosted. I am not running anything locally. This is all fully hosted on launch now. So within a few minutes, we have the entire app boilerplate environment set up and hosted and ready for you to start developing. And one last note, our applications, everything that you see in the marketplace app listing is all built off of our application boilerplate. So, for example, our workflow board app that we have there, this is also based on our application boilerplate, and it allows you to have this full space of real estate to build anything that your heart desires. And that is everything I had today. So I'm going to pause there and see if we have any questions.
Someone is asking about the associated costs with using Launch.
Great question. Yeah, the Launch is usually a paid-for product, but with Developer Hub, everyone gets up to 5 applications hosted for free, which will save you a little bit of development costs with hosting your applications, and will help you quickly get started without having to go set up a different hosting server somewhere. I see Jason is not seeing the app icon, your logo, or in your org. Let me follow up with you, Jason, and make sure it's enabled. Developer Hub is available for every organization. So if you don't see it, I will check in with your organization and make sure that that gets enabled for you.
Looks like was another question of who it's available to. It's available for all accounts on all subscription plans, right? And
yes.
Another question here is we talked about how you can submit your applications to be hosted through the marketplace. It's a great capability and offering for our partners. And do you want to speak a little bit about that, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. So any application that you build, we're open to reviewing your application, looking at it for best practices, and discussing with you hosting it through our public marketplace. I will drop into the chat our guide to submitting your application for review. And it'll go through basically our checklist of requirements needed for creating an application and submitting it for public listing. I will drop that in the chat here. Thank you all for joining. This will be recorded and posted online. So if you missed it or if you want to watch it again, please feel free. But thank you all for joining. I appreciate the time.